There's a theological puzzle sitting on top of one of the most contested pieces of land on earth, and it raises a question that cuts to the heart of faith, prophecy, and divine intention. Picture this: the Golden Dome of the Rock, one of Islam's holiest sites, sits directly above the ruins of what was once the Jewish Second Temple. It's been this way since 691 CE. This arrangement is, by any measure, precarious, politically, religiously, historically. The huge Dome of the Rock is in the way of the exact spot many Orthodox Jews believe the Third Temple must be built upon. Both Islam and Orthodox Jews believe the foundation stone, still protruding from the center of the dome, is of powerful importance. To the Jews, it is the site where the Ark of the Covenant sat, and where only the high priest could enter once a year. To Islam, the dome was built over the Second Temple because they believe their prophet ascended to heaven during the night journey there. What if this seemingly impossible situation is exactly according to God's plan? As an answer to the dilemma of Orthodox Jews not accepting Jesus as their risen Messiah, here's where we encounter a catch-22. Many Orthodox Jews today are actively preparing for the Third Temple. Organizations train priests in ancient rituals. Craftsmen create sacred vessels. Architects draw plans. For them, this isn't symbolic, it's a prophetic necessity tied to the coming of the Messiah. But here's the problem. These are the very people who do not accept Jesus as that Messiah. So if God's plan requires a temple to be built in honor of the Messiah, but the people building it don't believe in him, what's the point of even building the Third Temple? This is where it gets even more interesting. The Bible doesn't actually command a third temple to be built. The Old Testament prophecies about temple rebuilding are interpreted in different ways. And in the New Testament, when a future temple is mentioned, it's not a celebration, it's a warning. The Apostle Paul writes about the man of lawlessness who sets himself up in God's temple, proclaiming himself to be God. This isn't a temple God desires. It's a temple associated with deception. Meanwhile, Christian theology teaches that when Jesus died, the temple veil was torn in two. The barrier between God and humanity was removed. The whole temple system, the priests, the sacrifices, the Holy of Holies, was fulfilled and replaced by Jesus himself. So we're left with this impossible situation. If a third temple is built by Orthodox Jews who reject Jesus as Messiah, can it truly be a temple for God? Would such a temple be an act of worship or an act of rejection? Would it fulfill prophecy or contradict it? And here's the deepest question. Could the very presence of the Dome of the Rock, sitting immovably on that sacred ground for over 1,300 years, be God's way of preventing a temple built in unbelief? In the Gospel of John, Jesus made a startling claim. When challenged about the temple, he said, "Destroy this temple, and I will raise it again in 3 days." He wasn't talking about the building. He was talking about himself. The temple of stone, the second temple Jesus stood in, was destroyed by Romans in 70 CE, just as he predicted Jerusalem would fall. And according to Christian belief, Jesus rose from the dead 3 days after his crucifixion, becoming the true temple, the place where God and humanity meet. Not in Jerusalem, not in a building, but in a person, and through him in all who believe. So perhaps the catch-22 isn't really a paradox at all. Perhaps it's a divine answer. The dome sits on the Temple Mount. Orthodox Jews cannot build, not without causing a holy war. Christians say the temple has already come and was raised after 3 days. And that golden dome? It might be the most unlikely guardian of a theological truth the world has ever seen, because the dome, an Islamic structure, physically prevents the building of a third temple that would be constructed by people who don't believe in Jesus as Messiah. You'd never expect an Islamic holy site to be the instrument preserving a Christian theological position about a Jewish temple. It's the most unexpected solution imaginable. So in essence, the dome keeps the wrong temple from being built, thus preserving the truth that the right temple, Jesus, already came. So what do you think? Do you think the temple has to be rebuilt? Is this a problem to be solved or an answer we've been missing? Leave me your comments and let me know what you think. And remember to subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.